Gretsch had a series of, like, I hate the words, but they used it a lot in that time, drum battles, where there's one record that I was lucky enough to come across with Buddy and Max. And I found that the personalities that came through and the material was so unique that it made me investigate a little bit more what was happening during their real prime period, you know, around the 50s and 60s, when they were really, really hitting it. I would not be going in the direction or traveling in the direction that I'm traveling musically now had it not been for that, in combination with other things. I saw Buddy Rich play only once in Chicago at a club called the Black Hawk. When I think it was around 1972 when Mahavishnu was passing through Chicago, and we were able to get some tickets on an off night, and so I was able to check out the band. In 1959, I was this little black kid that was in Manny's music shop buying, obtaining my very first set of drums with my mom and dad at about 15 to 20 minutes after the place closed. And Danny was the one that sold the drums to me, and he said, "Come here, I want to introduce you to Buddy Rich." And we were going up, this was in the old Manny's, and we were going up the stairs, and he said, "You want him to sign your drum?" And I said, "Yeah." And I went to give him the drum, and it hit my knee, and he went to try to grab it, and it fell and bounced down the stairs, and I still have that smell. It's a 1959 Ludwig Super Sensitive with a dent in it that sounds great when we record. Buddy Rich individually was not as important to me as Buddy Rich, the musical entity, which meant the whole band and the band that he drove, or the music that he presented. And that to me is the ultimate, because I always looked at if I had to hear the drummer in the band, then something was wrong with the band. But if I heard the band and the band was smoking, then to me that was the ultimate, and the drummer was doing the right job. And he had a way of making everybody really play in a cohesive way, which was very unique, again, in jazz, because even though there were many, many, many musicians and individuals who could sit down and play all kinds of patterns and stuff, there were very, very few who could play and support the band.
Yourself. Billy Cobham for me was a very early, very strong influence during the 70s when he was doing the CTI work, and then I was just pretty much a beginner. And of course, when you hear someone like that with the freedom that he had with Mahavishnu, it could go anywhere, and he did. And it was a revelation to me too, that this was a whole new level of combination of power and precision, which was something that the late 60s and the 70s began to give into drumming, where you could have both. You know, you could, previous to that, you could either be a thrasher and a banger, or a delicate, you know, intricate player. And Billy definitely stood at the forefront of where rock and jazz met early on too, of bringing the power, the athleticism of rock, but with the technical values, I guess, of jazz. So again, when we were compiling our dream list of drummers for this project, definitely Billy, for me, was high on that list, and I really wanted him there. And he was also very amenable, because he didn't care to know in advance what he was going to do. He just said, when I get there, just tell me what you want me to play and I'll do it. And as a producer, it was a great gift, because I knew that there were certain things, material-wise, that I really wanted that nobody else had picked to play yet. So when Billy came in, I was able to say, okay, well, these are the songs that I really want as a producer, material-wise. So I got him to do Milestones, which again is one of my favorite of Buddy's charts over the years. And Billy came in and said, okay, I just sat down, and he takes requests.
The band, if they listen to you and you listen to what they have to say, you become this unified element that moves forward as one. I always wanted to be a big band player. Being in the recording studios in the late 60s and early 70s gave me a chance to do some things like that on different things. It's like you come to the studio, somebody calls you up and says, hey, okay, we got a record date, starts at 10, setup is at 10, gig starts at 11, 3-hour session, we need to do 2 tunes. Okay, cool. You go in and you put your best musical step forward. And felt that way today. Felt fine. Very comfortable.